Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome back. Today's topic is plant supports. Now hold on a minute because I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but this is going to be a really fun video, honest. Now the idea is to use natural materials to make supports for the different types of climbing plants in your garden, or any kind of plants that need a little bit of support. So last summer, my husband and I went to England and we visited a lot of amazing gardens, and a lot of them have been around for many, many years. So I was seeing all kinds of branches and twigs and so on used to support things like sweet peas or regular shelling peas, clematis, all kinds of things, and I thought, I want to do that in my garden. And you know, it's free. If you don't have any materials, you can always ask a neighbor if they're doing some trimming to save them for you. So I have several photos I wanted to show you first from our trip, and that will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Wait till you see them. Are your creative juices flowing yet? It was such a treat to visit the gardens, and I got so inspired by so many things, and especially by the natural plant support. So I thought, I want to do that for my garden, and I'm talking about all kinds of supports. Well, last fall, a friend of mine and I watched this video from Garden Answer. And if you have never gone to the Garden Answer YouTube channel, you definitely need to, because there are so many creative ideas in their videos. So we saw a video on building obelisks, and we thought, that is so cool. I made a couple, my friend made a couple. We definitely want to make more, and so I want to show you how to make them. First, let's talk about the types of materials you're going to need to have. You might want a pair of garden gloves, so keep those on hand. You definitely will want a pair of hand pruners. And if you have some loppers, those could come in handy as well. Now you probably are noticing this big pot here, and it is filled with garden soil, or you could use potting soil, and the purpose of this pot is to push the branches down into it while you're assembling it, so you're not trying to hold everything all together. The size of the pot depends upon how large in diameter you want your obelisk to be. In my case, I'm making one that is the same size as the ones I made last fall, so it's a pretty good size in diameter. If you're making a small obelisk to go into a container, which would look really cool, then you certainly don't need a pot as large as this one. Another thing you're going to need are some long branches, and again, the length depends upon how large of an obelisk you're making. They need to be nice and bendy, because you're going to be gathering everything together at the top and tying it. Also, I have a lot of things over here that are trimmings from my blackberry vines. I have some corkscrew willow. I wish I had some weeping willow. You know, those really small green branches would be perfect for lashing around and in and out the top of the obelisk and the middle and the bottom. I don't have a weeping willow tree, but something small in diameter that is very pliable for lashing the branches together. One other thing you need is a pair of scissors and some jute twine. Now, the one thing I think about with jute twine, which I really like, is that it will break down during the course of a garden season. So you might also consider hiding some wire underneath it to hold that top of the obelisk together so it doesn't go kablooey during the season. Now you'll notice some of my branches have some little side branches, and that's really going to get in the way. So what I want to do is prune them off before I get started assembling the obelisk. I'm even going to take off this side branch so that I have just a straight one. There we go. Okay, I trimmed off the side branches of 8 large branches, and I've put them into the pot and pressed the soil around the base just to hold them in place. You'll notice the branches are probably only about 5 to 6 inches apart. It doesn't have to be precise, really just where you want them to be for spacing. And then if I look up towards the sky, you'll notice these are really tall branches. I'm not worried about the height at this point because I can prune everything back when I'm closer to being finished. Okay, I have gathered everything at the top of my obelisk, and I used some floral wire and wrapped it around several times just to secure everything in place. Then I covered it with some jute twine so no one will be the wiser. This is a good time to just kind of play with the branches a little bit and get everything about where you want it to be. Once you start lashing them together though, you will be able to adjust things as well. And I'm just kind of pushing the soil around the base of the branches. I think we're ready to put on the good stuff. Okay, so I've got my nice little bench here to be comfy while I'm doing this. And what I'm doing is I'm starting to put the bottom ring on the obelisk. And I'm using a little bit stronger willow branch. And these are going at the base. And what I'm doing is I'm weaving them in and out every other branch. Be very careful. These are on tension. And so you do not want to poke your eye out. That would totally ruin your day. Now every other ring of branches, I alternate what's in and what's out, and that just makes this base stronger. Now don't be alarmed that I have some things sticking out. All of this is going to get trimmed up nice and pretty when it's done. I hope you're enjoying all the bird song in the background. I just had a chickadee come and land on the obelisk and check it out. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, I'm starting to work on this middle ring of branches. I know it looks kind of messy, but you always can rearrange things as you're building them up or when you're finished. Now I am using thornless blackberry canes. You definitely would not want to use anything with thorns on it. And I remember from last fall that the higher you get up on the obelisk for lashing in these branches, the more challenging it is. And so you really want to use things that are pretty pliable, whether it's blackberry canes, grapevines, or those lovely weeping willow branches. Well, I've been putting on some branches on the top level, and I have to be honest with you, it is the most challenging part of making an obelisk, but it's still a fun project. I'll probably add a few more branches here and a few more branches to the middle, but I keep having to dodge rainstorms, and so I'm going to stop for the day. The last part of this project is to slowly and gently lift this out of the pot and then put it in your garden where you want to have it. I'm probably going to grow morning glories on here. I think that would be great fun. Now I plan also to make other types of structures for my garden, and so stay tuned for those. But I do hope this gives you enough inspiration to use your trimmings from pruning and maybe borrow some of your neighbor's prunings and make some different kinds of things for your own garden. I'll see you in a week for the next video.